Marketer here, back with your weekly newsletter yet again. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently, if you couldn't tell by the full screen camera and not looking at an agency Zoom screen or Canopy or Zapier or whatever. So we've been doing this, at least Tech Marketer for about a year now, right? Almost exactly a year. And over the course of that year, it's been fantastic. I've gotten to know a lot more of your problems, way more intimately than I did before, previously working as a product manager or even as an agent. So what that means, though, is that I've also heard a lot of, I, I don't know, feedback about automation, maybe like some myths, I guess, if you want to call it that way too, some things that maybe just aren't true. So I kind of wanted to talk about just automation in general here today and maybe kind of bust some of these myths a little bit here. So the first one, and it's my favorite one because it's so ridiculous, is that people say that automation is going to replace agents. And you know that that's not the case because we've seen things like Lemonade and all the other direct-to-consumer Zebra or whatever it was go up in flames almost immediately, right? You have to have an agent in there. People have a question. They need somebody to talk to. Besides, who do you think sets all that automation up? Obviously, it's going to be an agent or an agency, right? So you will always be needed as an agent because you are always going to be the subject matter expert. And that's why I say automate the things that should be automated, but also keep that personal touch, right? Automation should never remove personal touches. It should enhance them, give you an opportunity to actually go out there and teach people about various aspects of insurance, right? That they don't understand or they don't know or they've never been taught before, right? Another one is automation's too expensive, right? I can't afford to pay all of these things, especially as a small agency or scratch agency, whatever. And yeah, I mean, while that can be true if you're talking about having 15 different systems in your tech stack, but also it doesn't need to be. Really, the only thing that you need is a CRM and I mean, I guess an AMS too, if you're really, but if you're a scratch agency, I would almost say just go straight to the carriers. The only thing you really need is a CRM that has automation capabilities built into it so that you can stay on top of your leads and your clients and keep everything tracked and organized. Then as your agency grows, you can scale up a little bit more, right? Solve some of those problems instead of just trying to dive headfirst into a super expensive tech stack that one, you don't even know if you need because you haven't actually outlined any of your processes yet. And two, you definitely can't afford, right? And that kind of also leads into another one that I hear a lot too, and it's way too complicated to set up. Again, yes, it absolutely can be, right? That's why I exist. That is why Tech Marketer exists, is because you don't have the time, the knowledge, the skills, whatever, to go in and deploy that stuff. But again, if you start with what the journey you want to have happen is, right? You want to outline that journey ahead of time and then figure out what problem you're solving, you can break it down into smaller chunks and make it a little bit more digestible. Now, again, I understand you don't have time or desire or knowledge or whatever to do that. And again, I will happily set that up for you. That is why we exist. That's the thing I enjoy doing. But you can make it a lot less complicated than what it needs to be or than what some people think it is. I think probably the most common one that I hear is that automation feels like it's not personal, whether from the clients or you think your clients are going to think it's automated and they're going to know it and it's not going to feel great. And again, if you're doing automation right, they won't know that, right? Because you're putting those personal touches into it for, let's say, an onboarding cycle. Hey, Dan, thanks for joining the Maury agency. Love that to have you on board. Can't wait to get started. Here's some things to expect. Here's some people, some real life people with their phone number and email address that'll be reaching out to you. If you have a service related question, you'll go to this real life person or to this form, right? So you add those little pieces. But then again, when a service request is completed or a claim is completed, pick up the phone and call them. So that way they get that personal touch as well. And you will have time to do that because you are automating some of those mundane tasks, those email follow-ups for your notices of cancellation, the drip campaigns for your cold leads, right? You are not manually sending those anymore. Now you have time to go and make those personal phone calls to, like I said earlier, improve and enhance that personal touch. And then I think the last one that I hear is, once you set up your automation, it's done for forever and you never have to touch it again. And that just, I feel like you should just know that's ridiculous too, right? The technology is constantly changing. Your agency is constantly changing. So leaving something set it and forget it. That doesn't exist with automation, especially not in the insurance side. So you always want to be on top of it. That doesn't mean you have to be making tweaks every single day, every single week, whatever, but you should be monitoring it at a bare minimum and make sure that it still fits the goals that your agency has. It's still solving real problems. It's still taking your clients on that journey that you actually want them to take. And if you ever change that, then go in and switch up your automations to make it make sense, right? So kind of following all that up, right? Automation isn't here to take your job. It's not scaring your clients away. It's not this big imposing thing, this pie in the sky, this deus ex machina, kind of looking down on you. It is there to help you with your agency. It's help you with your clients. It's there to help you enhance your personal touch. I cannot say that enough with your clients. Go be the subject matter expert. Go out and meet with your clients. Make the phone calls after the claims. Talk to them at renewal and explain why having 100, 300, 100 is not enough when they just took that bigger job, or they just got promoted, or they just started a company, right? Explain to them what the liability limits actually mean, what the coverages actually mean, and why they should consider having an earthquake policy or a backup of sewer and drain policy on their home. So that is it for this week. I will step down off of my soapbox here, but hopefully this was still helpful, even though we didn't talk about anything specific. We just kind of addressed automation as a whole, and I will be back at it again next week. So thank you guys. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you then.